created a Spec ad for Adidas Original and JD Sports in under 2 weeks, from ideation to post-production with no budget.
Let's get a bit into production. Let's do it.
I think that you played a really special role on the set because you DP'd under a right? And again, not ideal. Not something you might even do often, to be honest. But on this one, 2 weeks, you have to take your losses. So you DP'd and directed, and you're also directing your friends. How was that for you? With most of them not actually ever having any talent experience.
I gotta give a big kudos to the talent for what they brought, the energy they brought to the set. I feel like their willingness to be a part of this and their willingness to get into character is what really helped. One of the techniques that I try to do is make everyone comfortable. All right, that was the biggest thing, is making sure voices are heard if there's something that somebody wanted to vocalize. So we'll get to that, but making people comfortable, the first thing I wanted to do was the table read. I didn't want the talent to meet each other for the first time on set because we want to build a dynamic before they even start to get on set so that when they're acting, it feels natural.
Yeah.
So we did a table read on Zoom where we just had our actors read their lines on the script. And we also used that moment as an opportunity to tweak anything that the actors felt unnatural to how they would act in real life, or that their character would say. And that for me was very helpful because a lot of times when I'm writing stuff, I'm thinking from a DP mindset of like how things are going to look, how things are going to feel. You know, I'm not always considering like the deepest thought on the conversation or the dialogue, right? Of course I should as a director, but I'm just being real, I don't. You know, I think more about the visual side of things, which is why I lean more DP heavy. But they told me, nah, this person wouldn't say this. So I would never say this in real life. And right on the call, I was changing the script. And so that, I think, got people comfortable with each other, but then also their characters. And then on set, I tried to give them, before we started rolling, I gave them about 5 minutes to run through their lines together, just so they had the opportunity to work together and feel how the energy felt in real life before we actually started running. So I'd say my experience working with friends, it was good.
I think it was good.
Yeah, it was good. It comes down to, if you're working with friends, a level of professionalism between the both of you. Whether you're directing or whether you're acting, everyone has to come with that level of professionalism and wanting to be there. And so that means your friends should want to be willing and open to taking direction from you. And you should also be open and willing to take feedback from them. You know, there shouldn't be any egos in that thing. And I didn't notice that at all. I felt like everything was very smooth and everybody sort of took direction well, and it shows in the fine.
Absolutely. What was the hardest shot to pull off for you?
Yeah, the hardest shot I would say for sure on this project was the shot where we were locked in on Tish and the camera whips over to Vaughn.
Yeah.
That shot at the sort of beginning, setting the stage of the characters, was very difficult. There's a few reasons behind that. One, lighting. Lighting was a big thing. So our building was facing north-south. Building was facing in a non-ideal area for the sun. So the pattern of the sun, although the light was consistently sort of like soft and not super harsh, there was certain times where lighting was very harsh. And you'll even notice it in the edit. I had to tone it down a bit, but on Vaughn's area, like the lighting changes based on how it was on Tish. That part was difficult. The other thing was making sure none of our stands and lights were in the fray.
Yeah.
Right? So going from completely here, nothing behind them, and then going here and making sure lighting is good on both of them. That was difficult. And then actually just nailing the coordination between myself operating the camera, my first AC pulling focus, and then the talent nailing their scenes on time with the whip. It seemed like such a simple shot, but all that went into it kind of added to the complexities of it and made it the most difficult shot of the project.
I have a situation I would like to hear you about.
Sure, yeah.
I would love to know why we cut the dolly scene towards the rooftop? On the rooftop.
Yeah. So originally, it was scripted that when we get back out of Desi's flashback, the camera was supposed to, dolly out to show him sort of laying his last line of, now I'm about to whoop you guys in this. So the camera was supposed to dolly out. The issue we ran into is when we were loading in, to the space. The hotel has a lot of stairs, so we were trying to limit the amount of equipment that we brought up. Copy. So we had left the dolly in the car, and we were already getting to sort of the final moments of
Last hour.
Last hour.
Last hour for sure.
We didn't want to waste time, and me not necessarily being, I wasn't at that point paying attention to what shots are coming next. I was so locked into nailing the shots we were working on. I forgot to mention to my grip that, we needed the dolly. When I realized, shoot, this scene calls for a dolly, I'm like, well, the dolly's downstairs at my car. It would take a minute to go downstairs, grab it, bring it up, set it up, get the positioning right, and then also nail the motion of the dolly.
No.
It would have been a lot. It would have added a lot to the timing of things, and we were already a little bit behind on time. So I made the call that we would just keep it on sticks and leave it as is. And then in post, I ended up actually adding a subtle zoom out that worked. That basically gave me exactly what I was looking for. So that's kind of why that got cut.
I was wondering because I know that in the pre-production phase, we were fighting for that dolly.
Yeah.
Right. And so when it got cut, although on my end, I knew we were running to time, but I almost was like, how can we make this dolly scene work? Because I know how important the dolly pickup was in the pre. But I guess you had to make that executive call that it's just not worth it. And I just didn't even question it. I was like, I had to ask who made the call, and they're like, Nate did. I'm like, oh, okay,
yeah,
the one who begged for the dolly. Okay, yeah.
Well, you know what? We used it for the real
when you really need it. You would have never got that clean shot like that. So I completely agree that the dolly was still a necessity, but I also was sad that you could have used it that second time for yourself. Right?
I would have loved to, but I think if something small is going to take a crazy amount of time, and you don't have that time to spare, sometimes you have to cut it out of the script. And as a DP, you have to, and even a director, you have to make those calls sometimes. It's difficult because you have a vision of what you want things to look like, but you also have to be malleable a bit on set.
Absolutely. And you were for sure.
Yeah.
I do think your first AD did such a good job. Shout out to Luther at conjoining shots for you and cutting out what you didn't need, just so we could save some time, because we did cut into time and it's not ideal. Cutting into location time, especially when you have no budget backing it, is just not a good look as a production company. We want to keep it within the time limit because you want to be respectful for other people's times, but also gauging how much time you go over is important.
Anything to get the production to keep going forward. And nonetheless, no one will ever notice that we didn't dolly out, or no one's gonna even care. We still got the same effect.
Everyone's gonna know.
Now that if you're trying to create a spec with close to no budget, first build great relationships. So have good relationships. And if you don't know anybody or you don't have relationships, get into community spaces like filmmaking groups online and things like that. And if you're gonna, have people utilizing their time to be there for you, treat them with the utmost respect, give them the highest regards, and make sure that you give them hospitality.
Yeah.
So biggest thing for us is we wanted to make sure people were fed and fed well. So we catered meals for everybody so that there could be, people could be fed on set and people could be energizing set. We also tried to accommodate for if people needed rides and stuff like that. We tried to make sure that we were communicative on exactly what was going to happen that day. We tried to wrap on time as much as we could. We tried to communicate if we were running behind to people. We tried to be courteous of people's time because we understand that the world doesn't revolve around what we're doing. People are doing us a favor, and you could argue the sense of well, they're getting experience by working on the set, or they're getting, credits. That's all true, but they're also taking their time to work for free. And so in that case, we had to make sure that we were being courteous and just thoughtful of our people on set. We also did the birthday surprise, right?
Yeah.
SJ.
I was on a creative call with our stylist SJ, and she was like, yeah, it's my birthday. And she just slipped it in there. I was like, that is crazy. Why are you doing this on your birthday? That's the last thing we want, is for someone to spend their birthday working, But she was like, no, I want to actually be a part of this, and that's end all. And she ended the convo there. I immediately was like, I'm getting her a cake.
Happy birthday, a whole cake? Yeah. Come on, Dario, it's your birthday too.
Oh, it is.